Most churches claim that Jesus abolished the Old Testament and that the Torah doesn't apply to Christians. So you might be surprised to discover what the New Testament really teaches. For example, in Ephesians 6, verse 1, Paul wrote, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land." You might remember your parents reading this passage to you when you were a child or learning this in a Sunday school lesson. But there are 3 important points that we need to understand about this passage. First, Paul was quoting from the Torah. In Exodus 20, verse 12, Moses wrote, "Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you." Likewise, Deuteronomy 5, verse 16 says, "Honor your father and your mother, as the Lord your God commanded you, that your days may be long and that it may go well with you in the land that the Lord your God is giving you." Exodus 20 and Deuteronomy 5 list the 10 commandments that God gave to Moses and the Israelites at Mount Sinai after the Exodus. Paul paraphrased the 5th commandment by combining these 2 passages together. In effect, Paul based his moral teaching on the very foundation of the law of Moses. The second point is that Paul used the present tense. In Ephesians 6, verse 2, he said that this is the first commandment with a promise. He used the present active indicative form of the verb eimi, which means to be. If Jesus had abolished the Mosaic law, Paul would have used the past tense and would have said that it had been the first commandment with a promise. Paul wrote this epistle while he was in prison at Rome around the year 62 AD. This was about 30 years after the death of Jesus. But even at this late date, Paul didn't believe that the Mosaic law had been abolished. As far as Paul was concerned, the law of Moses still exists and still has moral authority. The third point is that Paul was teaching Gentiles. According to the book of Acts, Ephesus started out as a Jewish congregation, but Paul's ministry in Asia Minor was very successful. In fact, so many Gentiles became Christians that Paul was putting the local idol makers out of business. By the time Paul wrote this epistle, the Ephesian congregation was predominantly Gentile. The fact that Paul cited the Torah as the basis for his moral teaching proves that the law of Moses wasn't meant for Israel alone. In conclusion, this brief study is another piece of evidence that the Torah is God's basic definition of right and wrong for all humanity. Jesus expected his disciples to teach and keep the Mosaic law, and the apostles affirmed the authority of the Torah throughout the New Testament. So the law of Moses is still relevant as a guide for proper Christian behavior.